This is the Note Closer Show, where you get the latest developments in distressed note investing and learn the secrets of how you can control millions of dollars worth of property for pennies on the dollar. Get educated and entertained by someone who has closed thousands of deals and lives to support you in achieving the same. Now, here's your host, CEO of We Close Notes, Scott Carson.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this episode of the Note Closer Show. As always, Scott Carson, excited to be here with you today and really jacked up for a special guest join us on here today. You might know him as a credit repair expert. He's been in the industry for 14 plus years, helped thousands of people out there get their credit repaired, get ready to get financed to buy their first home and other things. This guy is also a very avid investor, 1,400 apartments, but also doing some fix flips. He's getting ready to buy some condos down in Sarasota. We were just visiting with a second ago. But you may have seen this guy all across the major channels. He is the founder of Fortress Credit Pro. It's America's first 100% paid on performance credit repair company out there. And so we're honored to have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Rondi Lambeth joining us today on the Note Closer Show. What's going on, Rondi? How you doing, man?
Man, it's good to be alive, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
What a crazy world we live in, though, huh?
It is absolutely insane. You know,
yeah.
Every time I think that it can't get crazier, I'm shocked on the new craziness.
Now, question for you: with all the COVID and this last year of craziness, people losing their jobs, getting laid off, businesses shutting down, I bet you've started to see a big increase in people wanting to clean off things off their credit or trying to find ways to save their credit in a lot of ways. Is that the truth, or am I wrong?
I'm not going to say that you're wrong. It's interesting where last year was one of the greatest years that we've had in 14 years. And it wasn't because people needed us more. It was because people were home and they didn't really have anything going on. And the other part of that, we haven't seen that big influx yet because up until July, the credit bureaus weren't even legally allowed to report negative information. So it kind of gave everybody a free pass. And then on top of that, you know, we got 33 million homeowners that are not paying their mortgage and the banks are not reporting them late. So it's kind of like everything's on hold, if you will. So we haven't seen that huge wave yet, but I can tell you this, it's coming. I mean, we're still cleaning people's messes up from 2008, 2009 crash. You know, 13 years later, we're still cleaning it up because they didn't get started soon enough or their problem continued past 2009. So it's coming. We're preparing for it, but it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's definitely thinking back 13, 14 years ago. What a mess. It was almost like if you had a foreclosure or a short sale, it was like a badge of honor for a lot of those folks out there for the most part. Now, let's talk about that a little bit because we're in the debt game here. We're dealing not only with borrowers that are non-performing or non-paying on their loans that we're buying from banks or institutions, stuff like that. But if one of the things that we're always trying to do is leave our borrowers in a better spot. What's really, if somebody's a homeowner and they've got a mortgage, what's the best thing or the worst thing that they could be doing that affects their credit?
Well, outside of homeowners, so that's a difficult question to answer the way you asked it. Not that you asked it bad, but I want to include everybody. So it's not just homeowners.
Well, let's do it two answers then. One homeowners and no, not homeowners then.
Well, the absolute worst thing you can do on your credit outside of not paying your bills, because that's an obvious thing, not paying your bills is going to have a negative impact on your score. But worse than that would be overutilizing or not using your credit the proper way, specifically credit cards. That's generally if I was going to say, what's the absolute worst thing you could do for your credit? That is maxing out credit cards, paying interest for interest's sake. And then second would be not paying your bills, you know? So I don't know. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it totally answers the question what people can be doing. Because I think a lot of people, when they don't have an income, obviously they're going to their credit cards or what they have. And
the worst thing for a homeowner, though, The second part of that is not paying the mortgage. That is the absolute worst thing you can do for your credit, because that tells FICO that you're in major financial problems or potentially major financial situation. Because if you miss a credit card payment, it's really not that big of a deal. If you miss a car payment, a little bit bigger deal. You miss a mortgage, there's something going on in your finances. And so that will have a pretty substantial impact on your score.
And that's something that'll last, kind of follow you a little bit longer than a normal, increase in credit or increase in the percentage of credit you're using, right? Usually it'll track you for 24 months is still what they look at in a lot of cases.
Well, negative payment history will show up for seven years. Generally what happens is 90% of all late payments happen within the first 2 years of an account. So during that first 2 years of the account being open, if you are late, it is pretty detrimental to your credit score because you're already a high likelihood of missing that payment. But as far as whether a mortgage late will stay on your credit longer than a credit card late, no. But will it impact your credit score longer? Most likely, but it's still a late payment. It'll drop off after 7 years or within 30 to 45 days of hiring my company to go and clean it up. So
Cool.
You pick 7 years or a month and a half.
Well, that's the nice thing. If you want to share some of that secret sauce or that money or wealth strategies you're doing to help people out with that stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. There's hundreds of laws out there to protect us from banks, collection companies, the credit bureaus, and other entities. And the reason why is back in the 40s and 50s, there was a lot of discrimination going on by banks. And Congress was getting a lot of complaints. So they really it was the Republican Party that started the Fair Credit Report Act to stop discrimination, primarily against the African-American communities. And so they created the Fair Credit Report Act. And one of the worst culprits of this discrimination was the company prior to being known as Equifax. And it was so bad, they changed their name to Equifax, to where everyone is equal and it's just the facts, otherwise known as Equifax. And so they really started cleaning up their act, if you will. And so they created these laws to protect us, and then they've changed it. And the Fair Credit Report Act changes constantly. The last time it was changed was in March of 2020, when President Trump said no reporting of late payments until July. And so it's constantly changing. But with that, it dictates what the furnishers must do when reporting information, if they choose to report, and what the credit reporting agencies must do if they're going to report the furnisher's data, and then what they must do if the consumer disputes it. And what most people do, and what most people think of credit repair, is simply writing a bunch of letters and send it into the credit bureaus, and they get overwhelmed with letters and they can't keep up with the law, and so they delete it. And from 1970 to 2000, this was probably a pretty good strategy, maybe even 2005. But since then, this strategy doesn't work very well. And it goes to show that all of the credit repair companies out there in America, with exception to mine, is a monthly pay to try to fix your credit. The big boys. We were talking earlier on a break, my good friend Merrill, he was the founder of one of the founders of the largest credit repair company in the world. This company is doing about $750 million a year in business fixing people's credit. And they're the best at getting paid to try. What I mean by that is you pay them $100 a month for an average of 22 months for them to try to fix it. Because if they don't fix anything, you still pay them. It's like, paying the plumber a monthly fee to try to fix the toilet, regardless of results. And so what we've done is we've gone in and figured out what the Fair Credit Report Act states. We understand how the banks work, the furnishers. I got trained by FICO to understand the FICO algorithm. And instead of sending out these letters like the old system, just bombard them with letters, we write it in a way that they have to respond. Because in the early 2000s, the credit bureaus, to catch up with the 42,000 envelopes they get a day from credit repair companies, they implemented software and automation. And when your mail is delivered, it comes in on a conveyor belt, and then it goes in and a machine opens it, and then it scans it through an OCR machine, optical character recognition. And then the software reads the letter and assigns within nanoseconds a 3-digit code to each dispute. And then it sends it instantly off to the Philippines or to Brazil, where the people that don't speak English have no access to email, no access to a phone, no access to the internet. They have access to their program, are required to do a reasonable investigation as according to the Fair Credit Report Act. However, they're only given a few seconds to do that investigation, which is generally click a box, mark valid. And 90% of all disputes are coded 001, which means consumer states not my account. So here you are, Scott, you're a victim of identity theft. You find out this guy's gone out and Joe Carson from Los Angeles, California went and got a car in your name. And now you get denied a mortgage because you got all these late payments and repo on there. You send a letter saying, hey, I'm a victim of identity theft. This is not mine. It is instantly coded 001, sent to Brazil. The Experian employee clicks verified, and that's it. And it's done. No longer do these letter campaigns work. So what we do is we actually look at the credit report and we look for errors in the way it's being reported, such as inaccurate account number, mismatching dates that's open, inaccurate credit limits, different payment amounts on the different bureaus, because we do a tri-merge, which is 3 credit reports into one comparison. And then we use the credit bureaus against each other. So Experian reports one balance, Equifax reports another. We send letters to each one of them saying which one's right. Well, they can't be both right.
Right.
One's got to be wrong, or maybe both of them are wrong. And then by asking certain questions, we'll force them into do an investigation, or at least reply to the question. If they don't reply properly, we have a team of attorneys that then files lawsuits against the credit bureaus and furnishers for failing to follow the Fair Credit Report Act. So that's kind of how the credit repair space works, if you will.
Oh, it totally makes sense. Yeah, that everything would be automated these days, and outsourcing to somebody overseas that is just clicking buttons. That's a sad thing. It's a sad thing. I think I can understand trying to streamline operations, but when you streamline it and you pave over our rights, that's a bad day. You mentioned also beforehand about getting judgments and tax liens removed. That's always an interesting story. How are you doing something similar to that? Is suing or reaching out to see if what's accurate or inaccurate?
You know, prior to 2017, we were the only time that we could say we were 100% effective on getting items deleted was tax liens.
Wow.
And some of the biggest celebrities in the world have hired us to clean up their tax liens. And if I told you their names, you'd be like, oh, I've seen their movies, or I've seen them on stage, or I've read their books, because tax liens were a big problem. And the problem was the credit bureaus would not verify the information at all. They would just throw it on people's credit reports. And so 2016, all 50 state attorney generals sued the credit bureaus. 2017, they reached a settlement and they agreed for 2 years they would not report public records or tax liens on credit reports. It was going to come back in 2020, but due to COVID, they decided not to report those information, the tax liens and judgments, and it's coming back. So it is there. Now, it's not on your personal credit report, which, by the way, Scott, nobody has a credit report. There's no such thing as a credit report. That's just what we call it. It's actually a consumer disclosure form that we receive from the credit bureaus. But judgments, public records, etc., or judgments and tax liens do not report any longer on your personal credit report that you would get from Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian, but it does show up on your LexisNexis report. And so we can clean that up as well. We can also clean up your credit report that keeps track of your banking history with check system. So we can clean that up as well. And it's the same process. You look at it, same thing with bankruptcies. I'll give you an example, which is pretty easy to understand. When you file bankruptcy, there's always 3 initials on your file number. So the last time I filed bankruptcy, the judge's initials was SBB. I don't know what the middle B was, but the S was Sidney Brooks. And maybe it was Bob, Sidney Bob Brooks or whatever. So when you look at a bankruptcy file number, when you see those 3 letters, that's actually the trustee or judge's initials. And then the number is the year plus how many bankruptcies have been filed so far that year. So towards the end of the year, you're going to see a lot bigger number plus the SBB or whatever the judge's initials were. What I found is Experian almost always reports the file number correctly. And I have never, out of thousands of credit reports, and my company pulls about 5,000 credit reports a month, I have never seen an accurate bankruptcy file number on Equifax or TransUnion.
Wow.
And the law says they have to. So that's just one of the strategies. Tax liens is pretty easy to get a tax lien removed from a credit report. It's actually a 1-page IRS form. And there's a New York Times bestselling author that hired me. He's written now over 13 New York Times bestselling books. And he hired me because the state of California illegally put a tax lien on his credit. He couldn't refinance his La Jolla Beach house. And so he was listening to my radio show. I did a radio show in San Diego. And like you, I was syndicated on 40 different stations. And he heard me one day on the radio station, called me up, and we had it removed within a couple weeks. And it's just because there's an actual IRS form. If you fill it out, sign it and date it and send it in, the IRS forces the credit bureaus to remove those tax liens. So that's something to know in the future, but right now tax liens aren't reported, but bankruptcies are. So.
Very nice. Great info out there. Now, you mentioned a little bit that you had the show. You're also the host of a very popular show, right?
Yes, I am the host of the School of Wealth, which I started that a couple of years ago after doing over 2,000 episodes on Your Credit Matters radio show, which that was a show that was syndicated on over 40 stations coast to coast. And that was all about credit. Now, School of Wealth has credit, taxes, real estate investing, entrepreneurship, etc. So it's not just credit. There is some credit in there, though.
Sure. Now, as an investor, and that's why I like having you on, being as a real estate investor, we're always looking for new things to add or save us on taxes or help us give us that edge on what's going on. With the market being where it's at, where do you think, I know that you're an apartment investor, but also where do you kind of thinking your focus is? Where are you seeing some opportunities for those looking to build wealth out there in 2021 and beyond?
That's a really hard question for me. And, we're going to buy another $45 to $50 million of apartment complexes this year. But as far as single family, I rent personally right now. I want to buy a house, but there's something in me that says, don't do it. The 33 million homes that are 90 days past due.
Yes.
40% of Southern California was 90 days past due in March 2020 prior to COVID.
Yep.
It was actually 38% something. And so that scares me. And I think, well, I'll just tell you what I'm doing. I don't know what anybody else should do. What I'm doing is I'm still buying multifamily that are poorly managed, and we can put a new management team in there, clean it up a little bit, put some new LED lights in, etc. Put some fertilizer down the grass and make the grass green. And then kind of step away and put it back on autopilot. But as far as personal, what I'm doing right now is I'm just stacking and racking cash, and I'm just waiting for the bloodbath to happen. I think it's going to happen. I thought it would happen by now, but Biden is kicking the can down the road. He has extended the foreclosure moratorium, and I think now, at least in Nevada, you cannot foreclose until October 31st. And I'm not in Nevada right now. It's just I'm aware of the Nevada law. And I don't know if this is nationwide or not. I thought it was March 31st is what it extended to. But I was talking to a realtor because my daughter wants to buy a house in Vegas. And he's saying, yeah, we can't foreclose until October 31st, which means it'll be February because of winter time. They have special rules in the winter on foreclosure, winter in Vegas, right? So it's like June 2022 before we'll see any foreclosures. And so maybe we got to wait another year. But my guess is, and what I would say is stack and rack the cash because it's coming. And back a few months ago, I was hanging out with Merrill and we had a real estate title company come in and they were showing us all of these 90-day defaults. The majority of them are duplexes, fourplexes, 6 and 8. So 8 plexes and lower. And I think maybe that's a great opportunity. Maybe in the summertime of 2022, if you can wait that long, to stack and rack that cash and then be ready, get your credit right, get your financing right, get your business credit right, get the business funded, get your lines of credit, your credit cards, get it all lined up. So when the blood is running down the street, you can go in and start picking up these properties.
Yeah, that I would agree 100% with what you're saying. With us on the debt side of things, we're already starting to see some portfolios coming to us that the banks are selling the loans off. They know that they're going to have to wait 6, 12 months, if not longer, to end up foreclosing. So they're starting to sell some stuff off that makes sense. And I agree. I think if you're I'm in Austin, Texas, and Austin is getting to be very similar to San Diego and Southern California with prices just being ridiculous. And I think there's going to be plenty of that distressed stuff that we can step in the next 6 months or a year and buy something at a much cheaper price than what it's going for right now versus overpaying now and then taking a bloodbath as values drop around us and stuff like that. So I think it's very, very wise.
Yeah, I live in Boise, and if you want to see a crazy market,
crazy
25% return for the last 7 years. I mean,
yep.
It is the house that I live in. I've been here 2 years. The guy bought it. My friend Ron Phillips worked with the guy, so I ended up moving in. I'm paying.
Yep.
Okay. So Ron did me a favor, called the guy, an investor in Boise, and I got this house. I'm paying like $2,300 a month, 3,000 square foot. Guy paid like 320 or 375, somewhere in there. 2 years, no exaggeration. We could sell it today for $600,000, and there's no reason for it. It's just, it is absolutely insane. And we'll just see what happens. Nothing's going to surprise me. If they just say, you know what, we're just going to forgive all these mortgages and your student loans and here's your welfare check, then I don't know. Or says they know I think is lying or delusional.
Exactly. Totally crazy. He does. Who knows? It's a funny story about that. We refinanced our house here in Austin in February, right before COVID. It came in at 340 valuation. 2 streets over from where I used to see the house. Same exact floor plan, feature, stuff like that. On the market, we talked to the realtor on Saturday, says 500. And I'm like, how can it go that crazy? So, we got listed at 400, but we're expecting multiple offers in the 450 to 500 range because the demand being so high here and it's just being a hot market. And Boise's just like a smaller version of Austin, I like to say, in the tech side, but just crazy. You know what I mean? Just absolutely crazy with overpriced, I think. I mean, stuff going over listing price or over appreciation, over appraisals it's nuts. Totally nuts, man.
It is. I was dealing with working with a couple realtors. I've had my real estate license now since 2005, and I've done hundreds and hundreds of transactions when I owned my real estate company. And so I have not signed with a buyer's agent per se. I'm using multiple buyers, and you find me a deal, then we'll work out something. But what I'm finding is, like, I'm asking these agents, like, can we negotiate? And they're like, oh no, if you're going to submit an offer 10% over, and we take it if you get it if you can. Sorry. You're lucky if you get it, kind of thing. Like, no negotiation, nothing, is as is, just buy it sight unseen. I even went to a house the other, it's 2.3 million. And the lady goes, so will you be wiring the cash? And I said, no, I'm not wiring the cash. She goes, well, everybody's been looking at this house is wiring cash. So like, it's insane. So anyway,
Hey, 1 week closing versus the
I don't know
normal
what to
30
do.
days. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think sitting around stacking cash so that you're ready to close on stuff. Because you're right. Those smaller duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, up to eightplexes, those are usually your mom pa investors
Yep.
who don't have a lot of reserves, and they can't afford for somebody not to pay them for 12 months on either side of that. I'll be able to allow 1 out of 4 to be able to do that to break even, but a lot of cases they're hurting hard. I mean, that's, out of state investors. There's people across the country that bought property now. It's just, I agree. It's a smart play.
And it's, I was thinking about the other day, I feel bad for these owners, but then again, if I don't buy it, someone else is going to buy it. So
Yeah.
I'm not the one that put them in the situation.
No.
I'm not the one that caused it. And I'm going to do my best to help people after the fact. And that's kind of how I got started in the credit repair business. Was my little brother. I was a firefighter at the time. He was a firefighter, and he ended up killing himself over some credit issues. And it was like a little tiny bit of money, some credit cards and some medical debt, just complete crap. Right. And so I started doing it as a way to help people. Then I started a real estate company in 2005, and I thought I was the shit, because I was selling houses so quickly. And then 2007, I kind of saw it. So I started doing buy this house with no credit. And then it was list your house in 2008 through 12. It was list your house with me and the foreclosure will never show up. And that's when I really learned how to delete foreclosures and short sales within hours of them showing up, or force the banks to not report the short seller or the foreclosure. And that's when I really switched from doing this for free to making money. Was I was getting so good at deleting these foreclosures and short sales that I was like, let's just run with it. And I know I will do the same thing when the shit hits the fan, if you will, with COVID, and it finally breaks in 2022. We're going to run some program. We're already building out our systems right now, getting ready for it, that we're going to offer a bunch of free credit repair for people that just got hammered. And in fact, my attorneys are working on the contract right now to allow us to do the credit repair for free. So it's coming.
Awesome. That's awesome. Now, question here. I'm sure somebody's going to ask you. So you're a credit repair company that's solely based financially on success. What's that cost? Are you basing that off of score increases or line increases? How does that kind of work in the price?
Yeah, we are 100% based on performance. And the way that works is it's a $325 enrollment fee. So the first thing is we got to look at your credit. Yep. So the first thing we do is we pull it. I own my own credit monitoring company. And I can pull your credit without your social within a few seconds. And it's $25 for a 3-bureau report. And then we look at the credit report. If you decide to hire us, it's $325 for the startup enrollment fee that we finance. The reason we finance it is we found the average person that hires us is hiring us because they want to increase their credit score and remove items. One of the reasons they have poor credit is they don't have positive trade lines.
Right.
Because I've been in the industry so long and I'm trusted by banks and credit bureaus, I actually can report, which no other credit repair company can do this. So I can report your payments to me, to all 3 credit reporting agencies. So we will finance that $325 audit fee to get a positive trade line, no interest on it. And then from there, we send out our letters. Usually within 2 weeks, we'll have our first round of deletions. And those are generally inquiries. Your Wells Fargo's, your bank, whatever, your car dealership that pulled your credit 20 times. We charge a flat fee of $25 per inquiry after it's deleted, Scott. So again, you pay the $25 for the credit report, $325, which is finance. So it's like $30 is your down payment. And then from there, we send out our letters. If we delete a bunch of inquiries, we'll invoice you, and you can either make payments on the line of credit that we issued you, or you can pay it in full, whatever you choose. And then about 30 days after you've hired us, we will refresh your credit again, and we'll bill you $125 per account that we successfully got deleted. If we don't delete anything, there's literally no monthly fee, nothing. There's no retainer fee, no management fee, no practice fee, no fee for trying. No monthly fee unless we actually get something deleted. And it's pretty simple. And the way I come up with this is I used to sell real estate. How much did I get paid to list a property? Absolutely nothing. I only got paid if I sold the property. So I looked at the industry. All of these other credit repair companies get paid to try. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to bill you if I get it deleted. If I don't get it deleted, it's my bad. I'm the one paying all the money out of my pocket. And what that does is it forces you to be better than everybody else, because otherwise you're going to be out of business. And so that's our model. $125 per account. If you can afford to pay it, great. If not, it's like $100 a month until your account's paid off.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool there. Guys and gals, listen out there. That's freaking phenomenal for you, for those of you that need some help, but maybe also for those of you that are dealing with borrowers out there that may be trying to get refinance out your loan or some other things like that. Might be something to talk about doing with your clients there to help them go get approved to get financed out or get a bank loan or some other things like that too for you. So,
do you know Angelo Christian? Name
sounds familiar.
He is in Dallas area. He is a banker. So he owns his own bank, mortgage bank. And the reason I bring up his name is he uses us exclusively, and he sends us, I don't even know how many people a month, but so do a lot of other mortgage companies. And so 90% of the people that are sent to us by a mortgage broker, a real estate agent, or an owner doing maybe a lease to own or something, 90% of those people will qualify for a mortgage in less than 6 months, 50% in less than 3 months.
Nice.
We're paid on performance. And so we don't have to drag out the credit repair for 2 to 3 years to get our monthly fee. We fix it up front, let you pay for it later. A lot of our clients will actually finance it in with their mortgage. So yes, we finance it, but then they pay us off at escrow.
I love it. That's such a freaking phenomenal service there, Rondi. I'm excited, man. There's people out there that need to know about this. That's a beautiful thing.
You're going to love, if you're excited about that, you're going to love our new Fortress University courses that come out. I don't know when this podcast is going to air, but it's going to come out April 1st. And that is everything about finances, credit, taxes, and investing that you wish they would have taught you in college or your parents would have taught you. They never did. We're teaching that. And all of the courses come with free credit repair. So if you come in, you want to buy a course on how to pay off a 30-year mortgage in 7 to 10 years without changing your lifestyle, you buy that course, you get free credit repair with it. If you're a business owner, you want to learn how to get business funding, credit cards, lines of credit, etc. You buy that course, you get free credit repair with it if needed. If you don't, then it's there for someone else in your family.
That's awesome. How do people get a hold of that, or how do people get signed up for that there, Rondi?
Yeah, they can go to my website, rondilambeth.com. So rondilambeth.com, the course is right there under products, I think is the name of the tab. I'm pretty easy to find online.
Well, you have a unique name, and I like it. It's an individual name. That's beautiful. There's probably not whatever you made two, but not like 34.
There are four Rondis in the United States. I've met 2, and I'm one of the 4. The other 3 are women, and one happens to be one was a Rondi that I met when I was single. We went on a date that didn't work out very well. It was just weird, but it was just fun. She works for a title company. The other Rondi that I met is a real estate agent in Oregon that I've been trying to buy Rondi.com from her for years. And I'm just waiting until she's retired. And then the third one I've never met. So there's 4 of us total in the United States. So
that is
I'm the
awesome.
only credit one though.
I'm
sure there's some fake profiles out there.
There always is. Exactly. Well, Rondi, this has been a blast. We're going to have you back on, man, on the podcast here. He's rocking and rolling there for you. So once again, everybody, take advantage of what Rondi was talking about today. Learn. Knowledge is king. And if you know how to invest or what to do to get those lines of credit, to stack that cash, to get approved, to remove things, you're going to be playing with a lot more bullets in your gun than a lot of others out there. And you want to have as many bullets, as much cash you can here over the next 6, 12, 18, and 24 months to make the most of it. So do yourself a favor, go to rondilambeth.com, check it out, get signed up for that. If not, then sign up for their services to start making some big changes and big improvements in your credit to get you more financeable. So go out, take some action, everybody. And we'll see you all at the top. Best way for people to get a hold of you is the website for you, Rondi, or another way?
Yep, rondilambeth.com. If you're on social media, it's at Rondi Lambeth everywhere.
Awesome. Thanks so much, man. Look forward to having you on in the future.
All right.